What's happening, Traeger Nation? So good to see you guys. Welcome back to another episode of Traeger Kitchen Live. Once again, you're hanging out with Mama and Papa Joe's in Converse, Texas. Mama will be playing moderator today for any of your questions. We're Mom and Papa Joe's. For those of you who don't know us, we're Mom and Papa Joe's. We're a husband and wife competition team here in Converse, Texas. We started competing back in 2012. And since 2012, man, we've managed to win some of the largest competitions here in the state of Texas. We've traveled to some 8 or 9 states competing and done very well. I'm retired military. Mama is an educator. We started a competition class in 2015. And since 2015, the alumni of our competition class have managed to earn more than 425 grand in reserve grand championships. So it's a very successful class. Today, we are going to be cooking 3 solid items. You're going to love these items. We're going to be doing brisket sliders, a garlic parmesan chicken wing, and a buffalo blue cheese corn on the cob. Very delicious. All these recipes and many others like them you can find at traegergrills.com/recipes, or you can go download the Traeger app. And I'm telling you, you will not be dissatisfied once you download that app. So many options for you to control your grill, manage your cook, experiment with recipes, do it, and you'll be a better cook for it. We'll be cooking on the Timberline 1300 for the most part. The brisket you're going to see at the end has already been cooked, of course. We can't get a brisket done in an hour. So that brisket was started some 10 plus hours ago. No, longer than that. We've had 4 hours of rest. That brisket was started about 15 hours ago and is resting. So the first thing I want to hit you with today is some hickory pellets. That is what we're using. We're going to be using the Traeger beef rub. Real quick, I want to give you an idea of my process for brisket. I'm not going to go into any length, simply in the interest of time. I want to get you out of here as quickly as possible. With the prices of meat nowadays, it's very hard to find cheap briskets. Very hard to get some Snake River Farms at a decent cost. The brisket I cooked overnight was a prime. This brisket I'm prepping for instructional purposes pretty much is an Angus choice. This Angus choice, they used to cost them $2.99 back in the days. Today is like $4.49. So very expensive. Some of the things I look for in a brisket is evenness of fat. Of the flat. I want a nice thick flat. I want a brisket that is fairly symmetrical, makes it easier to trim. And I want to see some marbling in this brisket. There are a couple of different grades of brisket on the high end. And we're talking about commodity brisket. The regular briskets you can find in the store. You start pretty much with a prime, and that is according to fat content. Then you go to a choice and then a select. So this is a choice. And as you move upwards beyond the prime, you run into things like Wagyu and other cuts like Snake River Farms, the Akaushis. So real quick prep. First thing I want to do is knock off this fat pad. Some people refer to it as a decal. Doesn't require a whole lot. And these trimmings do not go to waste, folks. These trimmings do not go to waste. I clean them up. I make burgers. I make Salisbury steaks. I make carne guisale. I make all kinds of things out of them. I really love to get rid of this silver skin. Really gives your rubs a place to stick to. Again, this is going to be a real quick down and dirty. Most briskets are going to have a fat vein, like you see here. You do not want to chase this fat vein. Otherwise, you might create a trench. So I'm not going to even touch that fat vein outside of leveling things off around it. But you want to continue to gently remove this silver skin. And you probably notice I'm not using a traditional knife for this. I've just gotten so used to using my slicing knife to trim briskets that this is all I can do. This is what I'm comfortable with. And one of the fun things about trimming or using knives, you've got to use a knife that feels good to you. Don't let anybody tell you different. All right, so
Can you go over again what you look for when you're buying a brisket?
all right, so like I mentioned, the question was, can I go over again what I look for when I'm buying a brisket? Again, I want to have a flat as possible. And I want my flat to be as close to even from side to side. You're going to have a thick side and you're going to have a thin side. But you don't want a side that's so thin it flops. It's not going to be worth cooking. You're going to end up removing it. All right, we're not going to spend a whole lot more time on silver skin, only because we've got to move. But that does not look bad for a quickie. All right. We're going to come back. And if I didn't say it, a brisket is comprised of two muscles. You've got the point, which is usually the thick end, and then you've got the flat. The point is much fattier. The flat is much leaner. You'll come back here. You will remove a lot of this thick, heavy fat. I like to expose some point because the point caramelizes and really browns and colors well. That fat renders, and man, it ends up being nice and delicious.
CJ, when you're cooking a brisket this size on the 1300, how much pellet do you run through and what does that cost?
When I'm cooking a brisket of this size, what amount of pellets do I use and what does it cost? Now, that's all going to be based on the temperature. Of course, the hotter you're cooking, the more pellets you're going to use. All right, a bag of pellets is roughly $15 to $20 based on where you buy them. A 20-pound bag of pellets at $2.25 will run you some 18 to 20 hours. So again, the hotter you're cooking, the more pellets you're going to burn. We're not going to do much beyond this. All right, I would now come back with what I call a slather. And you could use just about anything to slather your brisket. And a slather is nothing more than a binder. It gives your rub something to stick to. Today I'm going to use just regular mustard. You can use olive oil. You could use Worcestershire sauce. You can use Lee and Perrins. The sky's the limit as far as what you can do. It doesn't require a whole lot. All you're trying to do is give your rubs a little something to stick to. You hit the sides as well. And once we've done that, once again, today I'm going to be using the Traeger beef rub. I'm a fan of bark. And if you don't know, bark is that dark, crispy, crunchy, savory, smoky exterior of cooked meats. And that bark is enhanced by large grain cracked black pepper. So before I put this Traeger beef rub on, I want to come back with my own concoction, my own mixture of salt and pepper. This is a 16 mesh grind of coarse black pepper and just kosher salt. 2 parts black pepper, 1 part kosher salt. All right, my slather is on. And I like to season my edges first. So I go all the way around. Brisket is a heavy piece of meat. It can take quite a bit of seasoning. So don't be afraid. Once I've hit all those sides, I will come back and hit that top side.
And CJ, while you're doing the salt and the pepper, somebody wanted to know, why is prime better than choice?
Why is a prime brisket better than choice? It's funny how meat is graded. I'll get right back to that. Once I've got a layer of black pepper on, I come back with that Traeger beef rub. Nice and savory. It's got a little heat to it. A little bit of sugar. So the way meats are graded is, from what I understand, is from 1 part of that animal. Someplace in that chest area, they take a sample, and the rest of the meat is graded based on that. So there are times when you're going to find a piece of a brisket marked choice that is more heavily marbled than a prime. But the grading is supposed to be based on the amount of fat in that piece of meat. And you're looking for a fattier brisket, simple because it means that it's going to be more flavorful. There are going to be more juices in that brisket. I hope that answers your question.
How do you store your trimmings for later use?
Tonight, how do I store the trimmings for later use? After this show, I will come back. I will knock the fat off of this trimmings. I've got a vacuum seal, and they go in the vacuum sealer and in the freezer until I build up enough for whatever dish I want to do with them. All right, I pat that down just a little bit. You don't want to rub, just pat down. All right, make sure that rub is set. You're not going to lose any. You'll come back on the meat side, and you're going to execute in the same manner. All right. My black pepper. And then that awesome Traeger beef rub. When I get to this point, I am not a fan of patting down on the meat side, simply because you want to leave it loose. That way, once it sweats and gets wet, there are little air pockets in there that's going to really enhance your bark. If you start pressing it down, knocking out those air pockets, your bark tightens up and does not want to be a little crispy, crunchy bark. All right, so we would give this about 30 minutes or so to really sweat in. If you're interested in a smoke ring, your brisket has to have some moisture on it. So you really want this brisket to sweat. You want the salts to draw out some of that moisture from the brisket, from the meat. Get wet all over. That will enhance your smoke ring. Quick cleanup. Do we have any other questions right quick?
Yes. Can you go into detail on your rescue
All right, resting. Can I go into detail as to how I rest the brisket? I want my briskets to have the longest rest as possible. The longer the rest, the better your end product is. Resting the brisket is all about relaxing those muscles, allowing the juices to be redistributed. And for the most part, what happens is as the brisket cools, as the brisket rests, the liquids become a little more jelly as opposed to a liquid, and it will stay in the brisket and maintain juices. So once my brisket comes out of the cooker, I simply allow it to vent. If I'm using foil, I allow it to vent. Vent means I open it up 10, 15 minutes, let some of that heat, some of that steam out. If I'm using butcher paper, I will just let it sit out in the open for about 15 minutes or so before I put it in the cooler, before I put it in the oven to rest it, or any other way you choose to rest if you want a Cambro. You don't want to put it in the Cambro piping hot because it continues to cook. All right, so that brisket will go on 250 for about 4.5 to 5 hours till I had the color I wanted. This is what I did with the end product today, till I had the color I wanted. From there, I would be wrapping. I wrap that brisket is nice, deep mahogany. Bark is set tight. I will wrap in butcher paper, or if I was to wrap in foil, I'd add a little liquid in that foil, wrap it up, put it back on the pit. In foil, it might go another 2.5 to 3 hours. In butcher paper, it's going to go closer to 4 hours. So today our cook lasted almost 9.5 hours.
CJ, is it beneficial to apply the rub the day before you cook the brisket and let it sit?
Do I let the brisket sit with the rubs on overnight? I have done both. I'm now at the point where I'm a firm believer in seasoning an hour or so before it goes on the pit. It doesn't draw out as much moisture. You need that moisture during the cook. If you do it overnight, you will notice that in whatever container you're using, there tends to be quite a bit of liquid left in there. That's liquid that was removed from your brisket. You need that liquid during the cook. So now I season about an hour before I go on the pit. Great question.
And one more brisket question. That original brisket before you trimmed it, how big was it? And then after you trim it, what is the size about?
That brisket that I trimmed, it weighed 13 pounds. Real quick, I knocked off maybe 1.5 pounds, no more than 2 pounds. And I'm here to tell you, honestly, I would have trimmed more, but in the interest of time, we just had to move. I would have probably taken off about 3 to 3.5 pounds to really trim it. I don't like cooking waste. I don't want to trim my brisket after I cook. I pre-trim it. That way, there's less trimming. So let's move on to chicken. What I've got here is a 5-pound pack of chicken wings. I've already split most of them. I'm just going to knock out these last two. If you're a fan of the tip, you can leave that on. We're not, so that tip is coming off. If you like to cook them whole, that's fine. I like to split them. These chicken wings, I put in the fridge out in the open. Removed them from the package, dried them off really well, sprinkle a little salt on them, and I put them in the fridge out in the open to air dry. What that does, it really dries the skin and helps in crisping. There are other tricks you can do. There's the bacon powder or baking soda that you can add to your wings. There's cornstarch, but I really like the drying method. And I say when you're doing the drying method, I try not to dry for no longer than about 12 hours. If you go beyond that 12 to 24 hours, your chicken starts to become really dry and leathery. All right, so this chicken is pretty dry. We're gonna be running today with our Traeger chicken rub, nothing else. I'm not gonna add any oil, I'm not gonna add anything to this. This chicken rub has some awesome notes, some sweet, nice little heat with some nice citrus on the back end. It is delicious. You would probably end up using about 2.5 to 3 tablespoons. This is not offensive, not overly salty, but man, just absolutely delicious.
CJ, where's your butcher block from?
That butcher block, where's my butcher block from? I've got a buddy out of Ohio, man, Heath Blatziker, called Blatziker's Wood Shop. He does awesome work. If you can imagine it, he can build it. He's got some awesome equipment in the shop. He is quick, he communicates. If you're looking for some cutting board swag, he's the man. His cutting boards will make your food taste good, will make your meats taste good. All right? Folks, that is about what I like to see on my wings. All right? And we're going to take these immediately to the pit. We're not going to waste any time. All right, so our 1300 is running at 450. You hear that sizzle? These chicken wings are going to cook for maybe 45 minutes or so. We're going to do 20 to 22 minutes on one side. Then we'll come back and flip and do about the same thing on the opposite side. We should have some nice color, some decent char, some crisp, absolutely delicious. I've got that brisket resting on that 850 behind me. So we're gonna come get that in another give or take 30 minutes or so as we get ready to do our thing. One more little bit of cleanup. Do we have any questions right now?
No, we're caught up on the questions right now.
All right, so let's talk corn. I've got 5 beautiful cobs of sweet corn. I prefer to do mine on the grill without the husk because I really love the caramelization. I like to wipe them with a little butter before they go in the pit. That butter sort of jump starts the browning, the coloring, the charring, and enhances that sweetness. So I've got 5 of them. I've buttered them. They're going to go in the pit in about another 20 minutes or so. If you're a fan of doing your corn in the husk, that is fine. That is not a problem. I like to call it steaming versus roasting. A lot of people like to brine their corn in a salt bath for some period of time. I don't know how well that works. I've never done it, but if it works for you, excellent. If you're a fan of cooking your corn in the husk, I suggest that you remove some of the outer layers of that husk, and just a few should be left. That way that pit, that heat, that fire can burn through those husks while still, adding or providing a little moisture to your corn. But I like to go just like this, man, and get, it probably takes 10 to 15 minutes. All right, probably takes 10 to 15 minutes. So we're about 15 minutes away from these going on the pit. Right now, I want to get together a sauce for my chicken and a sauce for this corn. Let's start with the corn. Very simple sauce. This is a buffalo blue cheese corn on the cob. So what we're going to do is melt some butter. I've got a quarter stick of butter in here and a quarter cup of hot sauce, buffalo style blue cheese corn on the cob. So quarter cup of hot sauce, quarter stick of butter. There's my butter. All right. This will, I'm not going to bother transporting this inside, outside. And guys, if you haven't noticed, in the past, our Traeger lives have been outside. But this summer, we have got a serious problem with flies. And man, it is annoying. So we're inside. So you have to excuse the movement back and forth. I'm not going to move these pots back and forth. I'm just going to do them on my stove since I'm in the kitchen. But just want you to know that you're welcome to put these on the pit, man. You will probably get a little smoke flavor from it. But all you want to do is melt this. You're going to add once that corn is finished, you're going to brush the corn with that butter hot sauce mixture. You're going to sprinkle some blue cheese crumbles on it, man, some celery salt, a little parsley, and you'll go to town. There's so many other ways you can do this. If you're not a fan of that buffalo style, you've got like a elote, the Mexican street corn, with the cream sauce, with the mayonnaise, with the cojita. I think that's the name of the Mexican cheese, if I pronounced it correctly. If not, there's also the queso fresco, another Mexican cheese that really, really goes well with this corn.
CJ, I got a few questions for you.
Okay.
What temp do you cook corn on?
Again, that corn cook is going to be pretty short, so you want a high temp. They're cooking at the same temp as the chicken wings, 450 degrees. And once again, it's that awesome hickory pellet. It's that awesome hickory pellet, man.
Also, how do you keep the grate so clean on the timberline?
How do we keep the grates clean on the timberlines? Great question. You've got to be pretty disciplined. I love cleaning them during the cooling cycle. I let the shutdown cycle take place, but I love to hit those grates before the grill completely cools. I find that it's easier that way. And I'm one of those that I will clean my pit after every use. Some people say 20 hours, 3 cooks, whatever the case might be. I've gotten into the habit, I'm pretty disciplined, that they stay clean after every cook. Really, really helps in avoiding any type of problems.
One more, do you ever inject your brisket?
Great question. Do I inject briskets? We're a competition team first and foremost. So yes, we do inject the briskets at competitions. Here at home, I've never seen or had the need to inject those briskets. But if you're looking to inject briskets at home, man, keep it simple. You don't have to worry about those expensive competition powders. Simply inject with, basic beef stock. You might season that beef stock up. Maybe you want to boil that beef stock, add some garlic, some onions, some other things, strain it, and then inject into your brisket. It will really provide some additional flavor and definitely some moisture. So once that chicken is finished, the second of our sauces, once that chicken is finished, we're going to toss that chicken in a garlic butter sauce. This is about 10 to 12 cloves of garlic. This is I really packed this quarter cup of finely minced garlic. In here, I've got 1 cup, 2 sticks of unsalted butter. The rubs are going to have all the salt you need, folks. Unless you're really a salt fiend, no need to add additional butter. All right. So this is more than a quarter cup. I've really got it packed in here. This is a garlic parmesan. All right. Again, no salt. All that garlic. I will come back with a nice shake. This is going to be the only salt. A nice shake. I would say maybe a teaspoon, but you can adjust to your taste. And that's one of the things I love about cooking, that, man, you make everything yours. That's what I do. I make everything mine. So once again, this is going to be warmed, and we will be stirring. It'll help if I put the right burner on.
CJ, can you explain again how you dry the chicken outside the skin? So,
can I explain how I go about drying the skin on my chicken? I've got cookie cooling racks. Those are those woven sheet type racks. Got little 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch legs that will sit inside of a pan but remain off the pan bottom. So you've got airflow. I will pull that chicken out, wash it, dry it, salt it. 5-pound bag, maybe 2 teaspoons of salt. Move that salt around. Put them on the rack. All right, put them on the rack so that they are not touching, and you just put them in the refrigerator, uncovered. And I said 12 for me, 12 hours is optimum. But anything, man, you will get benefit from anything 4 to 6 hours if you don't have that kind of time. Once again, I wouldn't do overnight. I think overnight really dries them. Well, not overnight. I wouldn't do more than 12 hours because it really dries them out more than you would like. More than you would like. Any others?
Yes. Are you going to be cooking in the Houston Livestock Rodeo in February 2022?
Oh, are we cooking in the Houston Livestock Show Rodeo? Oh, we absolutely are. One of our huge wins in 2019. Yeah, 2020. Mom and I, we won the San Antonio Rodeo, the San Antonio Livestock Rodeo. And that comes with a free entry to Houston Livestock Show. Houston Livestock is not just something you can sign up for. There's a waiting list of multiple years, pretty expensive. So we've got a free entry. Because of COVID, it didn't happen last year. Our entry carries over. So we shall be there, and we will see you there. Yeah, we will absolutely see you there. All right. We are going to run outside real quick. I want to take a look, make sure everything is tracking. We've got a few more minutes before we have to flip and put this corn on. Butter is melted nicely. Folks, for those of you who are really into cooking, especially on Traegers, Mom and I have got a YouTube page, a YouTube channel with all kinds of Traeger cooks, recipes, tutorials. Go take a look at that. And man, if you want to cook something, we've probably already cooked it step by step. We show you how to do it. Be sure to take a look at that. Anybody else?
I'm not sure, did you say the name of the YouTube channel again?
The YouTube channel is Mama and Papa Joe's. Mama and Papa Joe's. MAMAPAPA. We're about 7 or so minutes from flipping those wings. They look great. Ladies and gentlemen, when I talked about having that brisket really get wet and moist before you put it on the pit, this is what I'm talking about. The salts have drawn some of that liquid out. This liquid, this moisture is going to be what really, really contributes to you getting that deep smoke ring, that beautiful smoke ring.
CJ, what internal temp do you take your brisket to consider it done?
Great question. What temperature do I take briskets to before I consider them done? Ladies and gentlemen, be careful that you don't start fixating on one temperature for brisket. Every brisket is going to be different. Each brisket is going to finish at a different temperature. What you really have to learn is a feel. You will need something along the lines of a thermopen or some sort of probe. That way you can probe that brisket for tenderness. I have finished briskets everywhere from 200 degrees to 211 degrees and everywhere in between. So don't start fixating on a temperature. Learn to probe for tenderness. There are times I probe my briskets, I'm not even looking at that readout on that thermometer. Right? I am just looking for that feel. And once I get that probe, you often hear people say like butter, but once you get that probe with very little resistance, you will know that that brisket is finished. And then you also want to make sure that you're probing in 2 or 3 places. You want to probe the point, the middle, and then the flat. I get a feel for all 3 of them.
What you drinking in the cup tonight, CJ?
Oh, in that cup is a little Tito's. What am I drinking tonight? In that cup is a little Tito's and grapefruit juice. Really, really tasty. All right, we're getting ready to go flip these birds, folks. All right. Oh, yeah. Man, we're getting a great color. And our corn is going on. Chicken is looking great. Corn just went on. Our sauces are looking awesome. Sauces are looking awesome. Folks, right now it's like 100 degrees around that pit. So it is warm outside. It is absolutely warm outside. I'm going to go grab that brisket, and I think we're going to end up starting to slice.
Did you boil that corn first?
No, did I boil that corn first? No, I did not. That corn is as fresh as it can get. Just taking out the husk this morning. Taking out the husk this morning. So I don't feel the need to boil it. And again, it won't take very long. It will not take long. All right, so here's that brisket, folks, wrapped in butcher paper. It's been resting in a cooler since about 12:30 today. Been resting in a cooler. A little while ago, I put it on the Traeger using a warming function. So it is warm, but nowhere near hot. And man, look at all those awesome juices. I'm gonna try not to make a mess here.
CJ, do you usually do burnt ends at home and or competition?
Do we do burnt ends at home or at a competition? I am not a fan of burnt ends. I don't like the sweet. So if I were to do them, they wouldn't be as sweet as some people like them. So no, I don't do them. They are not required at Texas competitions. So the answer there is no. I have done them, but not very often. Yeah, not very often. Folks, that is a beautiful brisket, man. That is a beautiful brisket. This is the fat side. Oh, man, oh, man. That bark on that meat side is absolutely beautiful. Let me get a cutting board. Now, this is the point. This is the flat. Usually, for example, the grain of this flat is running in this direction. The point and the flat runs in opposite direction. The flat is running in this direction. The point is running in this direction. You will see a lot of pit masters, a lot of cooks slice their briskets, and when they get to this point, they will then turn their brisket and start slicing in this manner. Or you'll see other pit masters right up front. They quickly just slice their brisket about 2/3 of the way up, slice it in half, point in, flat in. I like to just really start mine, all right, from the point. The flat is usually drier, all right. Those end pieces definitely want to crumble. Oh, all right. But this is what I like. That fat is nice and rendered, man. Nice and soft. Easy pull. Awesome.
CJ, would you say that this was a competition trim?
No, this is a home trim for me. I would not call this a competition trim.
How many layers of butcher paper did you use?
The bottom had 2 and the top had 1. How many layers of butcher paper did I use? The bottom had 2 and the top had 1. I don't like a whole lot of butcher paper. All right, not the heaviest of flats, of points, but again, this is what it looks like. All right, so we're going to continue slicing.
What pellets did you say you used earlier for this brisket?
These were hickory pellets. The pellets we used were hickory pellets. Let's get some point. Oh yeah. For these sandwiches, real quick, check and flip. That's what I'm talking about. Got another couple of minutes, folks, and we're going to be good.
was your total cook time for the brisket again?
This brisket, total cook time for the brisket was about 9.5 hours. About 9.5 hours. We did almost 5 hours in smoke, and then another 4+ in foil. And again, you can speed that up if you wanted to by cooking hotter. All right, but I really like the slower and slower. All right, we are tracking. We're going to be heading out right quick to go grab some of this this corn and chicken off of the pit. Thank you. Guys, gals, whew, it is hot. I mean, beautiful, nice little char, man. Oh, the smells, the crisp. You can hear these things banging against each other. Absolutely beautiful. So right off the bat, I want to come with my hot garlic butter. We're just going to go immediately over this hot chicken. As much parmesan as you would like. That's a personal preference. You can go for broke. You want it when it's nice and hot. I would toss this, man, but I'm afraid that I'd make a mess. Yep. Oh, my goodness. We'll come back with a little more on top. And we're going to let this rest. We'll come back with that nice corn, man. Got that good char, all right, wrinkled, so you know that they're cooked. We've got our hot sauce mixture. Hot. And again, all we're going to be doing is brushing these. turning and brushing. Oh, the smell.
CJ, while you're buttering the corn, the see that you use the shredded Parmesan, do you prefer that versus the powdered Parmesan?
That is do I prefer shredded Parmesan over powdered? That's a personal preference. I don't have a preference. I chose shredded because I've always chosen shredded. So not because one is better. If I was to really give it a think, I would probably say that the shredded hangs around while the minced or the fine might just kind of disappear. So we got some celery salt. And again, as much or as little as you like. If you don't like celery salt, you can skip it. Find another seasoner of your choice. All right. And here's the star, one of the stars of the show. We come back now with some blue cheese crumbles, man. And if you're not a fan of blue cheese, it's not for everybody. Find another cheese of your liking. All right, we're going to set that off.
Can you say the YouTube channel again, please?
The YouTube channel, our YouTube channel is Mama and Papa Joe's Barbecue. MAMAPAPA. Mama and Papa Joe. Go give it a look. Hit that subscribe button. Show us a little love. We appreciate it.
CJ, does it matter how or where you place the chicken and the corn on the 1300?
Doesn't matter where you place the corn on the 1300 or the chicken. I say that it does. If you're looking for a faster cook, if you're looking for a quicker cook, you want to place them closer to the edges, around that grease shield. That's where the heat comes from underneath that heat deflector and then enters the main chamber. There will really get you some quicker charring and coloring than off in the center of your pit. Great question. Now, these sandwiches, folks, you can put as much meat or as little meat as you might choose. It is totally up to you. It is totally up to you, man. So you want to go as heavy as you want or as light. Totally up to you. That is a personal preference. But you want that good, pretty bark, man. Oh, my goodness.
CJ, while you're putting those together, what was the temperature setting on the brisket again today?
I cooked at 250. I cooked at 250.
Can you overcook smoked meat?
Oh, you absolutely can. You absolutely can overcook meats. The question was, can you overcook smoked meats? You absolutely can. There's a fine point. And one of the great things about brisket or any meat like that is if you overcook it and it won't slice, that is not a problem. You pull it. You pull it or you shred it or something along those lines. It's not going to be destroyed, especially you're cooking at home. It is not a competition. It is not a competition. To go with these sliders, I've got some awesome pickled veggies, man. Some red peppers, some red onions, little green pepper, some red pepper flakes, and a little cucumber sliced thinly. It really, really goes well. The tang, the crunch, really, really contrasts the richness of the brisket. And with these briskets, whatever part of whatever muscle you wanted, whatever muscle you wanted. All right, I made one too many. There we go. So if you want your sandwiches comprised of just point, that is fine. If you want flat, that is fine. I have got some Traeger sweet heat. If you prefer another barbecue sauce, go for it. But again, it's exactly what it says, a sweet heat, as much or as little as you want. Really, really contrasts very well the richness of the brisket.
So CJ, while you're putting those together, a couple questions.
Mm-hmm.
What is your favorite Traeger grill?
Mine is my favorite Traeger grill is the Timberline 850 because it has such a small footprint. You can come home and do a couple dozen chicken wings, fuel efficient, the whole 9 yards. Just let me do a little cleanup here, folks.
And while you're doing your cleanup, what's your thoughts on a no-wrap brisket?
Very difficult to do. What's my thought on a no-wrap brisket? Great idea, but very difficult to do well. It takes some practice. I have done one that came out very well. My second one, not so much. But I really, really like the idea, simply because that bark and everything else surrounding that brisket is just so much better than a wrapped brisket. All the smoke, the time it takes, everything renders. I think the overall taste is just intensified.
When you do you wrap with butcher paper or foil, and why?
What do I wrap with? What do I wrap with? I wrap in foil at competitions. In competitions, I wrap in foil, and at home, I wrap in butcher paper. So again, that's just one of those things. You will get a completely different bark based on what you wrap with. A foil wrap gives you a wetter, softer brisket, while a paper wrap will give you a drier but harder bark. It's one of those things where it's a personal preference, and you will have to do what you see fit for you. There's no right or wrong. There's no one's better than the other. It's just what you prefer.
CJ, for a smaller family or a small weekend night dinner, someone is saying that they would love to have brisket. Do you think it would be easy to smoke half of brisket? And which would be better, the point or the flat?
Great question. If you could only smoke a part of a brisket, which would be better, the point or the flat? And that again is a personal preference. I am really, really in love with the fatty, the point. So I would smoke the point. Other people might be into the flat, but the flat by itself really dries out when you don't have that point to protect it, to add the additional moisture. So I would try to stay with the point. But again, that's just a personal preference.
What base did you use to pickle those veggies?
What did I use to pickle these veggies? Great question. I forgot to tell you that. I used a quarter cup of apple cider vinegar, a quarter cup of white vinegar, a half a cup of water, about 2.5 tablespoons of maple syrup, 2 teaspoons of crushed red pepper. And you just make sure that everything has come together. You can warm it up. If you're not using maple syrup, you're using sugar, you warm it up, make sure that sugar dissolves, and you pickle. You can go as short as 2 hours. Overnight to me is better. The veggies still maintain that crisp. So folks, here we are, man. Our little sliders, corn, buffalo blue cheese corn, and our garlic parm chicken. Let's see what we're talking about here. A great smoke. The crunch of the veggies really plays well. The tang, the zip, like I said, really complements the richness, the fattiness of that brisket. Awesome. Let's go in for some of this corn. Oh, there's that Tabasco. There's that Tabasco. But again, it is a nice, gentle heat. And if you're a fan of blue cheese, you will really appreciate the little umami that blue cheese is bringing to this grilled corn. And absolutely, oh my goodness. Perfectly cooked wing, man. I don't know if you're a fan of the drummies or the flats, but either way, you're not gonna go wrong with this. I mean, oh, look at those juices. Perfectly cooked.
CJ, as we wrap this up, I got just like 2 more questions for you. What barbecue sauce do you use, and how do you feel about a vinegar-based sauce?
What barbecue sauce do I use, and what do I think about vinegar-based barbecue sauces? I mainly use barbecue sauce in competition. I use them in our videos. But in terms of eating at home, I don't very often, so I'm not a fan. In competitions, I love Blues Hog, Champions Blend. It is awesome. Head Country Apple Habanero. Awesome. I also use that in competition. Vinegar-based sauces go extremely well with pork dishes, pulled pork sandwiches. You're not going to go wrong. Folks, very simple, man. You guys can do this. You guys can make this happen. This can be well, the brisket is going to take longer, but this corn and these wings can be a evening dinner after work. We want to thank you guys for hanging out with Mom and Papa Joe's, Traeger Nation. We really, really appreciate it. We're honored. Don't forget, if you're interested in these recipes or any others like them, be sure to hit that TraegerGrills.com/recipes or download that app. It will make your entire life better. Download that app. Check us out on YouTube, Mom and Papa Joe's. Be sure to tune back in 2 weeks. Next Traeger Kitchen Live will be Matt Pittman, Meat Church. We're all looking forward to that. I want all you guys to be safe. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. And we will see you when we see you. Holler at us.